Good morning, St. Andrews College. My name is Ben Goring. This is SAC Today. In 1926, Carter G. Woodson declared that the second week in February would be remembered as Negro History Week. 50 years later, American President Gerald Ford recognized February as Black History Month. Since then, we've been honoring and celebrating the history of Black culture every February. The world has now started to shine light on many Black role models throughout history, from Martin Luther King Jr. to Colin Kaepernick, to former President Barack Obama and the new Vice President Kamala Harris. I recently sat down with some of our Black students to discuss their experiences and provide perspective for the community.
My name is Kyle Murphy. I'm in grade 11, and I've been at the school since grade 5.
My name is David Azude. I'm in grade 11, and I've been at the school since grade 9.
I'm Tanai Garima. I've been at the school since grade 9. I'm in grade 10 right now in boarding.
This Black History Month, I'm joined by the Social Justice Council and members of our Black community at St. Andrews. So our first question for the day will be, what behaviors have you experienced that have been insensitive or inconsiderate to your race?
Like that I've experienced is when people touch my hair, especially when they do it without permission. Like when they do it, it feels like they're belittling me and treating me like I'm some animal that they can pet whenever they want. It just feels really disrespectful, and I never liked it. And whenever someone asks, I just say no.
And it's stuff like that they don't even realize that they're doing. They don't realize that what they, like the small things that they might be doing are racist.
Lack of the role models and lack of representation in different races in our community. For the first time, at least in my SAC career, we had a Black teacher at school this year, Mr. Christie, but he's actually gone again. And it's kind of true. It's not really any Black role models that we can look up to, and we kind of rely on older students for that. I feel like now, as an older student, I kind of want to be more of that role model, but I feel like it's an unneeded added pressure on my back, and I kind of wish that we had someone else here to talk to about that, at least someone that understands what it's like. You were once a kid that needed a role model, and now you become the role model.
Like, a dangerous thing about people like Tanai said, like meeting a stereotype, is because when you grow up and like all you hear around you is like, oh, you're not this, you're not that, you try to be someone you're not, like it doesn't really allow you to like figure out who you are as a person. And like I think that's a problem with like a lot of Black youth around the world, because they're constantly being like fed these stereotypes, and they're not actually allowed to like become who they are, like be who they want to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of like a lose-lose situation. If you meet the stereotypes, then you're that stereotypical Black kid, right? And if you don't meet the stereotypes, then you're a whitewashed Black kid.
Exactly.
It's a lose-lose situation there. For our last question here, what would be the number one thing you'd want people to know about you?
Definitely, like I'm an open person. I want to talk to you. Like I'm willing to help you. If you have any questions, like especially like the young Black students at SAC, like come to us, because we have definitely faced some of the same issues that you have and the same experiences, so we can help guide you and give you an answer to some questions you may have. And then also I wanted to say, like, I'm proud to be Black. Like some people see it as having like a disability.
People would single me out for being Black. Like
I kind of feel like I'm different.
But I'm proud of my Blackness.
I'm very proud of my race.
I'm very proud to be African. I'm proud to be Black. And like, if there are any other students watching this, Black students, white students, Asian students, whoever it may be, just be absolutely proud of who you are, because you can't change it. So you might as well embrace it and be boldly who you are. Like be boldly Black, be boldly Asian, and educate others around you about like what your experiences are, and learn from others about what your experiences are.
Thank you to the Social Justice Council for helping set up this discussion. And thank you to the students who had the courage to speak up and share their stories with the community. Stay tuned for the full-length version of this discussion that will be coming out later this month. Junior correspondent Blake Iezzi took some time to sit down with Director of Upper School, Mr. Shrimpton, to welcome students back to campus. Let's take a look.
Prior to the Christmas break, the St. Andrews students transitioned to online learning. Both the faculty and staff did their best to make the transition to online learning as smooth as possible, both through school and online activities such as Stu's News, online workouts, a mental health day, time for extra help, and more. This week, we are excited as ever to be back in school and in classes. Here is the Director of Upper School, Mr. Shrimpton, to tell us more about the back-to-school plan and what we can look forward to.
It's February the 18th and we are back at school. This is day 3 back at school. So excited to have everybody back. We've made some changes in order to hopefully accommodate for keeping people here. So we have essentially done what most independent schools did back in September 1st, which is to have 3-hour classes, fewer classes per day. Because what that really does is it limits the amount of contacts that you have in a given day or week and reduces the amount of people, if we get a case, that have to go into quarantine for 2 weeks. The movement of March break to April, it was one of the government mandates, and so we went along with that. There are also super exciting things happening here with our new facilities. So on the first day that kids arrive back at classes, we had the new science facility open at 7 a.m. We got permission to do that. So it's just so wonderful to be able to connect with not only colleagues, but most particularly students on a daily basis and see them back here at school. And the other exciting thing is yesterday we started up our sports programs again. So it was great to have everybody out participating in sports. It's just great to have everybody back and look forward to keeping this going through the next couple of months.
For SAC today, I am Blake Iezzi.
Boarding students have taken full advantage of the cold weather, with our grounds and maintenance team continuing the decades-old tradition of icing the quad for an outdoor rink. Junior correspondent Riley Knox has more.
Recently on campus, an outdoor rink has been constructed, which the boarding students here at St. Andrews have been given full access to. I had the time to meet up with a couple of students and faculty members to ask for their thoughts on the newly constructed outdoor rink.
Well, I think it's great. I think it's been a few years since we had an outdoor rink on the quad. And to be honest, it's a great opportunity for me to showcase my skills.
Does it allow you to connect to your son a bit more?
It has. Mac just started skating a couple weeks ago, and he's been out on the quad for a couple hours every day. I only started skating last week and already mastered it.
What are your thoughts on the outdoor rink?
Oh, it's a great time to stay active during the bubble. And it's good to run 2-on-2 with some of my friends and stay active.
To be allowed on the ice, you must be wearing a pair of skates, a helmet, and gloves. There are 2 hockey nets set up to allow shooting practice or to allow a game of shinny to be played.
Well, I love the outdoor rink. I think it's a great place for me to go and practice my skating. It's a great training for me to, work on some personal skills. I love that I can look out and see all the nature around me, like the beautiful trees and everything so nice and fresh air. It's a great experience to have.
This outdoor rink helping students and faculty members stay physically active during these times of uncertainty. For SAC Today, I'm Riley Knox.
As always, here's Ty and Locke with the sports desk.
The sports desk is on. I can't get back in because some of them.
This is the Sports Desk.
Greetings, everybody. My name's Ty.
I'm Lochlan.
And this is the Sports Desk, the show where we talk about sports. Before we hop into this episode, we want to give a special shout out to everybody who tuned in for our 20-minute Super Bowl special episode. It was a lot of fun to make, and we hope you guys all enjoyed it.
We're going to get this train rolling with the NHL. Where this past weekend, the NHL hosted 2 outdoor games in beautiful Lake Tahoe, California. The games were played between the Vegas Golden Knights and Colorado Avalanche and the Boston Bruins and Philadelphia Flyers. The NHL is celebrating Black History Month by recognizing the contributions of many black players throughout the history of the league. including the Boston Bruins, who retired Willie O'Ree's number in recognition of his great accomplishments in diversifying the game of hockey. Teams like the Toronto Maple Leafs have jumped out to a hot start so far, but even more surprising is the Florida Panthers, who currently sit on top of the division, led by goalie Sergei Bobrovsky.
First off, we got a Super Bowl recap. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady defeated Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs by a score of 31-9. Tom Brady keeps proving the naysayers wrong as he has won his 7th Super Bowl, more than any NFL franchise in the history of football. Unfortunately for the Kansas City Chiefs, a streaker came onto the field and ended up having more total yards and touchdowns than they did the entire game. The night before the Super Bowl was the NFL Honors, which is the NFL's award show, hosted by Steve Harvey. Some notable awards are Chase Young for Defensive Player of the Year, MVP went to Aaron Rodgers, Alex Smith won Comeback Player of the Year, and your own Justin Herbert of the LA Chargers won Rookie of the Year. Wasn't even a contest. Additionally, the NFL Honors announced some Hall of Famers for the 2021 class, including Peyton Manning, Megatron Calvin Johnson, John Lynch, and Charles Woodson.
In case anyone was wondering, MLB has started spring training for next season. In other news, Fernando Tatis Jr. signed the 3rd largest contract in MLB history at 14 years, $360 million deal with the San Diego Padres.
Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
Our fun fact today at the Sports Desk is about Connor McDavid of the Edmonton Oilers. McDavid has accumulated 500 career points in only 369 games, tying Sidney Crosby. Pretty impressive, but is it a coincidence?
Well, for everyone here at the Sports Desk, he's Ty, I'm Lochlan, and we'll see you next time. It's in my eyes, man.
Last month, students had the opportunity to participate in the first ever virtual Harvard Model United Nations Conference. Here's junior correspondent Kyle Murphy with the story.
This year's Harvard Model UN, just like many other events in our normal lives, was held over Zoom, which means amazing sights such as Mr. LaForge, his feet, and tours of the Harvard campus would not be taking place this year. However, attending the conference myself was still a very enjoyable experience, and I asked some fellow delegates how they enjoyed this experience themselves.
Harvard Mon was definitely really different this year. It was kind of weird, to be honest, but it was nice to start some debate again with some different people. Obviously, we don't get to talk to people from a bunch of different countries and a bunch of different schools, especially in the U.S., and get their opinion on things and all their different delegations. So that was really nice to hear all those different viewpoints.
It was really great. Obviously, there are people from all over the world, and it was a great opportunity, working with all these people, working together to write our resolutions, working papers, and just collaborating together. Obviously, SAC was fortunate enough to take home 2 awards. Me and Buckley got the Outstanding Award, so I think great experience.
I really enjoyed it. It was really cool because every year you get to meet delegates from all around the world in person, so it was different to be online this year, but nevertheless we had people zooming in from all different parts of the world. It could have been 4 a.m. for them, but everybody was just happy to be there and really ready to collaborate. So, the magic of it really was still there, which was great.
Despite Harvard Model UN 2021 being online and virtual, the delegates still indicated that they had a great, fun, and enjoyable experience. For SAC Today, I'm Kyle Murphy.
Throughout the history of the silver screen, Black talents have continuously pushed the boundaries of film and provided viewers with some amazing stories. Senior Arts and Entertainment Editor Nolan Rush shares his picks for celebrating Black excellence in film.
The film industry has not always been as inclusive as it is today. Since it's Black History Month, let's take a look at some of the Black actors and directors who made a huge difference in movies and have helped break down barriers for other Black artists on the big and small screens.
Sidney Poitier is an American Bahamian actor who helped make significant change in film for Black actors. He showed everyone that a Black person can play a teacher with his role in To Sir with Love, or the love interest in Guess Who's Come to Dinner, or detective in the Heat of the Night. He was the first Black man to win an Oscar for his amazing leading performance as the kind and headstrong handyman in Lilies of the Field. Through his character, Sidney Poitier helped set the stage for future black artists. By the 70s, black actors were getting better and more frequent roles, and by the 80s, an unknown actor named Denzel Washington was making a name for himself after playing Dr. Philip Chandler in the popular television series St. Elsewhere, and then being nominated for 2 Oscars at the 1989 Academy Awards for his roles in Cry, Freedom, and Glory. He won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Glory. Washington is one of the best and most successful actors of all time, who has won 2 Academy Awards and has been nominated for 10 throughout his career. He even got to present Sidney Poitier with his honorary Oscar for his contributions to film. He is a great example of how much Hollywood has changed in the past half-century. Not only have casts become more diverse due to the influence of people like Sidney Poitier and Denzel Washington, but behind-the-scenes crews are more diverse due to the influence of black filmmakers like Spike Lee. Spike Lee is one of the most famous directors today and has been making films since the 70s. He has made significant change in the industry by writing and directing stories about black people or stories significant to black communities with movies like BlacKkKlansman, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, and more. Lee has helped create more opportunities for black characters in film and more awareness of black issues. The influence of great talents like Poitier, Washington, and Lee has helped lay the groundwork for filmmakers like Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele is a very well-known comedic actor and writer, but has recently become a successful director. Like Spike Lee, he creates stories that are important to black communities that often have black roles. In his directorial debut for Get Out, he was nominated for 3 Oscars and 1 for Best Screenplay. He directed the horror movie Us with leading actress Lupita Nyong'o and helped produce BlacKkKlansman. Hopefully, Jordan Peele will continue to produce great films for all audiences.
Sidney Poitier and Spike Lee are examples of a black actor and a black director who have helped pave the way for other black performers in films such as Denzel Washington, Jordan Peele, and many more well-known actors like Will Smith, Halle Berry, Regina King, Lawrence Fishburne, and others. I hope you take the time to look into the works of these actors and directors and help support black excellence in film. For SAC Today, I'm Nolan Rush.
And remember, you don't have to wait until February to celebrate black excellence. For SAC Today, I'm Ben Goring. Thanks for watching.